High on a barren hill in southern East Turkey lies a place that should not exist. For thousands of years, this land was thought to hold nothing but dust, thistles and stones scattered by the wind. Farmers worked the fields generation after generation, never realizing what lay just beneath their feet. When their plows struck strange rocks, they tossed them aside, thinking little of it. To them, it was just another obstacle in a hard life. But in reality, they were standing on top of something that would one day shatter everything we thought we knew about human history. In the mid-1990s, an archaeologist named Klaus Schimpt visited the region. He was experienced, trained, and had worked at other prehistoric sites before. Yet even he couldn't have imagined what he was about to find. What looked at first like an ordinary mound of earth and rubble turned out to be a hill conceiving carved stones and massive pillars, some rising nearly 20 feet tall. As he began to excavate, the truth emerged. This was not a village. It was not a burial ground. It was something far older and far stranger. This was Göbekli Tepe. From the very first discoveries, archaeologists realized this site was different. Each of the stone pillars was shaped like a giant T, weighing up to 20 tons. They were arranged in circles, interlocking like the walls of a forgotten temple, and scattered across them were carvings of animals: foxes, lions, vultures, snakes, and even wild boar. These weren't random decorations. They were symbols. Symbols placed with care, etched by hands that belonged to people living more than 11,000 years ago. Think about that for a moment. The pyramids of Egypt were built around 4,500 years ago. Stonehenge rose roughly 5,000 years ago. Yet Göbekli Tepe predates both by over 6 millennia. It is, by every measure, the world's first temple. Which raises a haunting question. Who could have built such a place at a time when humans were not supposed to have the tools, the organization, or even the idea of such a project? Mainstream history gives us a neat story. First came farming. Farming led to villages. Villages grew into towns and eventually into great cities. And only then, with food surpluses and free time, did humans begin to create art, religion, and monuments. But Göbekli Tepe does not fit that story at all. The site was built thousands of years before farming appeared in this region. Its creators had no crops, no livestock, no permanent homes. They were supposed to be primitive hunter-gatherers, small bands of people chasing game, picking berries, and moving constantly in search of food. And yet here, on this barren hill, they built a structure that should have been impossible. How could groups of hunter-gatherers, without wheels, without metal, without writing, carve and transport stones heavier than a modern truck? How could they arrange them into circles so precise they still stand today, aligned with uncanny accuracy? Archaeologists have tried to answer these questions with experiments using copper tools and wooden sledges, but copper chisels wear down in minutes against limestone. Wooden sledges shatter under the weight. Even with cranes and machinery today, moving these blocks would be a challenge. So, how did Stone Age people do it? The mystery deepens when you look at the carvings themselves. Some animals are common for the region: foxes, cranes, snakes, but others, like lions and vultures, appear in strange, almost ritualistic patterns. The pillars seem to tell a story, but one we cannot fully read. Some researchers believe the animals are not just wildlife, but constellations, symbols of the stars as they appeared in the sky 12,000 years ago. If true, it means the builders of Göbekli Tepe were not only craftsmen, they were astronomers, recording the heavens at a time when science was not supposed to exist. And then there's the layout. The site contains more than 200 pillars, arranged in dozens of circles, Each circle seems to have a central pair of massive stones, flanked by smaller ones, almost like guardians surrounding an altar. The design is deliberate. It speaks of planning, of architecture, of knowledge far beyond what hunter-gatherers were thought to possess. And yet, there is no evidence of houses, no evidence of villages, no signs of daily life around the site. It was not a place to live. It was a place to gather, a place to worship, a place to remember. That question has haunted every researcher who has studied Göbekli Tepe, because if this was the first temple, it means religion itself did not follow farming. Religion may have come first. It may have been the force that united people, drove them to organize and push them to build on a scale never seen before. In other words, belief, not survival, may have been the spark that ignited civilization. Yet the most unsettling mystery of all is not how Göbekli Tepe was built, but what happened after. Around 8000 BC, after centuries of use, the builders did something unthinkable. They buried it, carefully, deliberately. Stone circle after stone circle was filled with rubble, entombing the entire complex under layers of earth. For thousands of years, it remained hidden, preserved in silence. Why would they do this? Why cover up what had taken generations to create? Some suggest it was a ritual closure, a way of ending the life of the temple. Others believe it was an act of protection, a way to preserve the site for the future. But another, darker possibility remains, that they were hiding something, that within those stones was knowledge too dangerous, too powerful, or too sacred to leave exposed. Sometimes history's greatest mysteries are not destroyed by time. Sometimes they are buried on purpose. The deeper archaeologists dug into Göbekli Tepe, the stranger the story became. What began as a scattering of carved pillars soon revealed itself to be an entire complex, a sprawling sanctuary built on scale no one thought possible for the Stone Age. And the further they went, the more unsettling the questions grew. The pillars themselves are the first enigma. Each one stands in the shape of a massive T, towering up to 20 feet and weighing as much as 20 tons. They weren't scattered haphazardly. They were arranged in giant circles, interlocked with precision, like the ribs of a stone cathedral. In the center of each circle, two even larger pillars rose side by side, facing each other like silent guardians. These were no ordinary stones. They were monuments, and they demanded skill, planning, and labor on a scale that should have been impossible 11,000 years ago. Think about it. The builders had no metal tools, no carts, no beasts of burden to haul the weight. They didn't even have pottery yet. According to history, they were simple hunter-gatherers, chasing wild game, moving season to season, surviving hand-to-mouth. Yet somehow, these so-called primitives carved pillars taller than a man, heavier than a truck, and hauled them uphill into formations so exact they still stand today. Modern experiments have tried to replicate the feat. Teams using only wooden sledges and copper chisels quickly ran into failure. The tools broke, the sledges splintered, the limestone itself proved too tough. Even with cranes and machinery, moving and placing blocks this size is no easy task. So how, with nothing more than stone and determination, did the builders of Göbekli Tepe achieve it? Then there's the artwork. Carved into the pillars are images that defy explanation. Snakes coil across the stone. Vultures stretch their wings. Foxes, lions, boars, cranes, and scorpions, each etched with incredible skill, each placed with purpose. These are not random decorations. They are symbols, messages, stories in stone, from a people with no writing system. Some of the carvings are so precise, they almost seem alive. A wild boar charging, teeth bared, a vulture carrying what looks like a human head. In one case, a strange combination of animals appears together, as if telling a story we can no longer read. What were they trying to say? Were these totems of clans, representations of gods, or perhaps something far more cosmic? Because here's where the mystery deepens. Researchers notice that some animals are arranged in patterns resembling constellations: the vulture, the scorpion, the crane. These could mirror the stars as they appeared in the night sky 12,000 years ago. If true, it means the builders of Göbekli Tepe were not only craftsmen, they were astronomers, mapping the heavens at a time when the very idea of science should not have existed. One pillar in particular has drawn intense attention, nicknamed the Vulture Stone. It shows a vulture with outstretched wings, a scorpion below, and strange geometric shapes around them. Some believe this image encodes a specific date, the moment of the Younger Dryas event, a sudden global cooling around 10,800 BC, possibly triggered by a comet impact. If correct, then Göbekli Tepe does more than tell a story of gods and animals. It preserves a memory of catastrophe, carved in stone so it could never be forgotten. And then comes the most chilling mystery of all. After centuries of use, the builders made an astonishing decision. They buried it. Around 8000 BC, the people of Göbekli Tepe filled in the great circles with rubble, stone by stone, pillar by pillar, until the entire complex was sealed underground, not abandoned, not destroyed, buried deliberately. Imagine the effort that took. It would have required thousands of tons of backfill, hauled and packed until the site disappeared beneath the earth. Why would anyone do this? If the site had lost its meaning, they could have left it to decay. If enemies threatened, they could have destroyed it. But to bury it so carefully, so completely, suggests something else. It suggests they wanted it hidden. Was it an act of preservation, sealing their sacred site for future generations? Was it an act of protection, concealing knowledge too powerful to fall into the wrong hands? Or was it something darker, an attempt to erase a memory, to bury not just stone, but truth itself? The deliberate burial had a strange consequence. Göbekli Tepe was preserved almost perfectly for thousands of years. When archaeologists uncovered it in the 20th century, the stones stood as sharp as the day they were carved, their carvings clear, their circles intact. It was as if time itself had been paused, and yet that pause only deepened the riddle. Because if Göbekli Tepe is the world's first temple, then everything we thought we knew about the origins of civilization is wrong. It suggests that belief, ritual, and knowledge of the stars did not come after farming in cities, they came before. Humanity's first great leap may not have been agriculture, but something far stranger, something buried under the dust of time. As the dirt was pulled away and the circles revealed, archaeologists realized they were not uncovering the dawn of history, they were uncovering a forgotten chapter, a chapter that should not exist, a chapter that forces us to ask, what else lies hidden beneath the earth, waiting to rewrite everything we thought we knew about the human story? And so the mystery only grows. Who built Göbekli Tepe? How did they achieve it? And why, after centuries of devotion, did they hide it from the world? And so the mystery only grows. Who built Göbekli Tepe? How did they achieve it? And why, after centuries of devotion, did they hide it from the world? For archaeologists, Göbekli Tepe was like a bomb dropped into history. From the very first excavation, the site screamed one truth. The neat story we tell about human civilization is broken. The question became, how do we rewrite it? And that's where the theories begin. The mainstream explanation is bold enough. Scholars argue that Göbekli Tepe proves religion came first. that hunter-gatherers, long before farms and cities, gathered here for rituals. The circles of pillars were not homes, but sanctuaries. People travelled for miles around to worship, to sacrifice, to feast, and to unite. Over time, the demands of such gatherings may have driven humans to settle down, invent farming, and build permanent villages. In this view, faith itself was the spark that ignited civilization. It's a radical shift. Instead of religion being a product of society, society may have been a product of religion. Instead of temples arising from farming, farming may have arisen from temples. Göbekli Tepe flips the story upside down. But not everyone is satisfied, because even this explanation leaves too many questions unanswered. How did hunter-gatherers, with no stable food supply, free up the manpower to carve and haul 20 tons of stone? How did they engineer circles so precise, with alignments suggesting knowledge of the stars? And why did they bury the entire complex so deliberately? These gaps open doors to alternative theories, and that's where the story takes a turn from archaeology into something much more controversial. Writers like Graham Hancock, Andrew Collins, and others suggest Göbekli Tepe is not the beginning of civilization at all. It's a remnant, a fragment of knowledge carried forward from an older one, a world wiped out by a disaster at the end of the Ice Age. According to this theory, around 10,800 BC, a cataclysm struck the Earth. The Younger Dryas, a sudden cooling event, plunged the planet back into near glacial conditions. Evidence suggests massive flooding, firestorms, and perhaps even the impact of a comet or asteroid. Entire ecosystems collapsed, human populations scattered, yet few survivors endured, and with them, perhaps, endured fragments of knowledge, astronomy, stoneworking, spiritual ideas that later found expression in Göbekli Tepe. If true, Göbekli Tepe is not a leap forward. It's a survival, a memory, a last echo of a forgotten civilization. Supporters of this idea point to the carvings themselves. The so-called vulture stone seems to encode a cosmic event, a scorpion, a vulture, geometric symbols that some researchers interpret as a record of a comet strike, preserved in stone like a warning label across the ages. Could it be that Göbekli Tepe was built not just as a temple, but a message, a record of catastrophe for future generations? Other theories suggest Göbekli Tepe may have been part of a network of ancient sites, from Jericho to Çatalhöyük, from ancient mounds in Anatolia to the enigmatic structures of Malta. There are whispers of a pattern. Was there a lost culture spreading its influence, planting seeds of knowledge across the ancient world? Mainstream scholars push back hard. To them, these ideas are speculation, ungrounded, too fantastic. They argue that human ingenuity is an explanation enough, that small bands of hunter-gatherers, driven by faith and community, could indeed achieve wonders. And perhaps they're right. Perhaps we underestimate what human determination can achieve. But even if we accept the mainstream view, the mysteries remain. Why bury the site? Why expend colossal energy to hide what they had built? And why do the carvings seem to echo not just animals, but constellations? The truth is, no one has answers. And that's what makes Göbekli Tepe so haunting, because it sits at the crossroads of two stories. One, the story of humans rising suddenly, unexpectedly, into civilization. The other, the story of a forgotten people, a civilization erased by disaster, leaving behind only whispers in stone. Whichever you choose to believe, Göbekli Tepe forces us to face the uncomfortable possibility that history is not as simple as we were taught. The idea that civilization began neatly in Mesopotamia with writing and farming may be only part of the story. There may have been earlier sparks, earlier fires, earlier chapters lost in time, and Göbekli Tepe is the evidence carved in limestone that refuses to be ignored. And so why are we left with questions? Who carved the vultures, the lions, the snakes? Who aligned the circles with the stars? Who buried the site so carefully? And why? Was it devotion, protection, or secrecy? Was it a warning meant for us? Even today, decades after its discovery, Göbekli Tepe remains unfinished in our understanding. Archaeologists have uncovered only a fraction of the site. Beneath the earth, hundreds more pillars remain hidden. What secrets do they hold? What stories do they tell? What truths might they reveal about the dawn, or perhaps the rebirth of human civilization? Until these stones see the light of day, Göbekli Tepe will remain what it has always been, a place that shouldn't exist, a place that defies explanation, a place where history itself seems to tremble. Göbekli Tepe is more than an archaeological site. It's a challenge, carved in stone, buried in silence, and unearthed at the very edge of history. What we've uncovered so far is staggering. A temple built 7,000 years before the pyramids, a structure older than writing, older than farming, older than everything we thought human civilization was built upon. Its great T-shaped pillars rise like guardians of forgotten truth, covered in carvings that whisper of animals, of stars, of things lost to memory. We know this much. It was not a village. It was not a tomb. It was not a place for ordinary life. It was something else entirely, a place of ritual, of gathering, of purpose so great it moved entire tribes to create what should have been impossible. But what was that purpose? Some say it was the dawn of religion, the first altar where humans sought meaning beyond survival. Others argue it was a library of symbols recording cosmic events in stone, and still others whisper of a lost civilization, a culture erased by catastrophe, leaving behind only this lost message. Yet perhaps the greatest mystery is not how it was built, but why it was buried. Imagine the effort, generations of people filling in their own sanctuary, hiding every circle, every pillar, until nothing remained above ground. Was it reverence, protection, fear? Did they believe the knowledge encoded here was too dangerous to leave exposed? Or were they sealing it away from us for some future age to discover when the time was right? The haunting truth is this: only a fraction of Göbekli Tepe has been uncovered. Beneath the earth, hundreds more pillars still lie buried, untouched for thousands of years. Each one could hold secrets that reshape everything we know. What will they reveal when they finally see the light of day? Göbekli Tepe is the place that should not exist. And yet it does. It stands as a silent witness, daring us to question the story of our origins. Was it the spark of civilization, or its final echo? Until we unlock its secrets, the true story of humanity will remain incomplete. And somewhere beneath the hills of Turkey, carved in stone, that missing chapter still waits to be read.